On a night when the rain seemed determined to wash the world away, two headlights cut through the darkness of a forgotten rural road. The road was narrow, no streetlights, no houses, no signs of life for miles, only fog. It drifted low across the pavement in slow, ghost-like waves, swallowing fences, trees, and fields beyond the shoulder. The windshield wipers moved back and forth in a steady rhythm, pushing water aside only for more to replace it. Inside the car, two friends rode in uneasy silence. The kind of silence that comes late at night, when the world outside feels larger than it should. The driver leaned forward, peering through the storm. The passenger glanced into the darkness beyond the glass, and then both of them saw movement. Two figures standing near the edge of the road. Children. The driver instinctively eased off the gas. The headlights reached them fully now. Two children dressed in clothing that looked decades out of place. Heavy coats, old-fashioned shoes, plain garments from another era entirely. Early 20th century, perhaps earlier. Their skin was pale, almost gray beneath the rain. They stood motionless, as if they had been waiting. The passenger leaned forward, eyes narrowing, and then in a voice that would later be remembered with absolute clarity, whispered, "They have no eyes." The driver stared. Where eyes should have been, there was only darkness. No whites, no pupils, no reflection, only black space, empty and total. The children seemed startled by the car's arrival. Their heads tilted slightly, as if surprised to be seen. Then one of them took a step forward. The driver slammed the accelerator. The car fishtailed briefly on the wet road before gripping and racing into the night. Neither person spoke for several minutes. Behind them, the fog closed over the road once more, and the children were gone. Stories like this exist all over the modern world. They are whispered online, shared around campfires, retold in podcasts, message boards, late-night radio shows, and paranormal circles. They concern beings now known by a chilling name, the black-eyed children. But what are they? A hoax? An urban legend? A psychological phenomenon? Or something that does not belong in our understanding of the world at all? Tonight, we examine the history, the folklore, the fear, and the mystery behind one of the most unsettling paranormal legends of modern times. Unlike ghosts, vampires, werewolves, and ancient monsters, the black-eyed children are a relatively recent phenomenon. They do not emerge from medieval texts. They are not rooted in centuries-old mythology. Instead, they appear in the late 20th century. Their legend was born in modern America. Most researchers trace widespread awareness of the phenomenon to a man named Brian Bethel. In the mid-1990s, Bethel described an experience in Abilene, Texas. He claimed he was sitting in his car outside a movie theater parking area when two boys approached his window. They asked for a ride home so they could get money to see a movie. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but Bethel described an overwhelming sense of dread. Something felt deeply wrong. The boys became insistent. They wanted to be let into the car. Then he noticed their eyes. Completely black. No visible sclera. No visible iris. Just endless darkness. Bethel said terror overcame him, and he drove away immediately. His account spread online during the early internet era and became one of the first major stories attached to the black-eyed children legend. From there, reports multiplied: doorstep encounters, late-night knocks, children asking to use a phone, children requesting a ride, children needing help, children wanting to come inside. Again and again, witnesses described the same details: pale skin, monotone voices, outdated or odd clothing, an unnatural seriousness, and eyes black as coal. One of the strangest recurring elements in these stories is permission. The children often ask to be invited in, to enter a home, to get in a vehicle, to cross a threshold. This detail immediately reminded many of older supernatural folklore. In legends across Europe, certain evil entities could not enter a home unless invited. Vampires, demons, malevolent spirits. The idea of needing consent before crossing into protected space appears repeatedly in myth. Could the black-eyed children be a modern form of the same archetype? Some believe so. Others say the legend reflects deeper psychological fears. Children are normally symbols of innocence, protection, trust, safety. But the black-eyed children invert that expectation completely. They take the form of something society is conditioned to trust and transform it into something deeply threatening. That contrast alone creates primal discomfort. Something innocent made wrong, something human, but not human enough. Psychologists have proposed that the phenomenon may be tied to pattern recognition and fear response. Humans are wired to notice faces, especially eyes. Eyes communicate emotion, intention, safety, danger. When eyes are absent or wrong, the brain reacts immediately. This is related to what is often called the uncanny valley. When something appears nearly human, but not quite, it triggers revulsion and fear. Black-eyed children fit that pattern perfectly. They look almost normal, but something critical is missing. Many stories also occur at night, in storms, during fatigue, in isolation, at doors after midnight, on roads where visibility is poor, under emotional stress. All of these conditions can heighten fear, distort perception, and amplify memory. Skeptics argue that once the first stories spread online, later reports were shaped by suggestion. People knew the pattern. Two children, black eyes, needing entry, dread. The mind can be influenced by stories it has heard before. But that explanation raises a disturbing question. What about people who claim they had never heard the legend? There are accounts from witnesses who insist they knew nothing about black-eyed children until after their experience. No prior knowledge, no folklore in mind, no expectation. Yet they described details matching the established pattern. How can that happen? Coincidence? False memory after later exposure? Or are these encounters independent of the legend itself? Then there is the issue of multiple witnesses. One frightened person can misinterpret shadows. One exhausted driver can imagine shapes in fog. But what if two people see the same thing? Like the opening story, two people in one vehicle, both seeing children, both seeing black voids where eyes should be. Shared hallucinations are rare and usually linked to very specific conditions. Misidentification is possible, of course. But the more witnesses involved, the more difficult the dismissal becomes. Paranormal investigators often point to this as evidence that something external occurred. Skeptics counter that human perception is social. One person says, "Do you see that?" The second person interprets through suggestion. Memory afterward becomes blended. Both become certain they saw the same impossible thing. The truth may be more complex than either side admits. There are stranger interpretations still. Some believe the black-eyed children are demonic entities, using the appearance of children to lower defenses. Others claim they are extraterrestrials attempting human mimicry. Some say interdimensional beings, visitors whose form is imperfect, close enough to pass at a distance, wrong enough to terrify up close. Another theory suggests they are tulpas or thought forms, ideas given power through belief. As stories spread, the phenomenon grows stronger, fed by attention, manifested through expectation. In that model, the legend creates the encounter. There are also connections made to changeling folklore. In old European stories, supernatural beings would replace human children with something that looked similar, but lacked normal warmth or behavior. Emotionless children. Wrong children. Not truly ours. The black-eyed children may simply be the digital age version of an ancient fear. Something has taken the place of what should be innocent, and now it is at the door. Some witnesses describe physical symptoms during encounters. Sudden nausea, headaches, panic, racing heartbeat, a sense of doom. These are common fear responses, yes, but they are also frequently reported in haunting cases and alleged demonic encounters. Others claim electronics malfunctioned. Phones died, lights flickered, vehicles stalled. Again, these details are impossible to verify in most stories, but they persist. One particularly eerie element is surprise. Witnesses often say the children seemed surprised to be noticed, as though they expected invisibility, as though they did not anticipate interruption. That detail appears in enough accounts to stand out. It mirrors the opening road encounter. The children staring back, almost confused that someone had seen them at all. Could that simply be a storytelling flourish? Certainly. Or does it hint at something stranger? There are no confirmed photographs accepted as genuine. No verified recordings that withstand scrutiny. No captured evidence proving these beings exist. And yet the legend refuses to die. Why? Because it strikes something deeper than evidence. It taps into instinct. The knock at the door at night. The stranger asking entry. The child who is not right. The road where something waits in the rain. The black-eyed children may not need to be real in a physical sense to be real in a psychological one. They are real as fear, real as folklore, real as a symbol of modern unease. In an age where old monsters have faded, new ones emerge wearing contemporary masks. And sometimes old masks, too, like clothing from another century on the side of a forgotten road. So what happened that night in the fog? Two children in antique clothing, pale faces, black emptiness where eyes should be. Two witnesses, one moment, no proof, only memory. Perhaps they saw ordinary children under impossible conditions. Perhaps the mind filled in details afterward. Perhaps the storm, the darkness, and the shock transformed reality into nightmare. Or perhaps, on certain roads, in certain weather, at certain hours, something still waits to be seen. The next time rain falls hard enough to erase the edges of the world. The next time your headlights find figures where no one should be standing, the next time a child asks to be let in, look carefully, and whatever you do, check the eyes. This is not a made-up story. This is something that was experienced by my family. Around 2007, my wife, before her passing in 2011, and my daughter were driving together on a rural road near Farwell, Michigan. It was the kind of road where daylight fades quickly, where the tree lines close in, and where darkness feels heavier than it should. As the sun was going down, they noticed something on the side of the road ahead. Two small figures, children, standing still near the edge of the road. At first, nothing seemed immediately unusual. But as they got closer, something about the scene began to feel wrong. The children were wearing clothing that didn't seem to belong to the present day. Old-era style clothing, outdated, almost as if pulled from another time entirely. And as the headlights passed over them, both my wife and daughter saw something that stopped them cold. They both saw it at the same time, where the children's eyes should have been. There was nothing, no detail, no reflection, no light catching anything human, just darkness where eyes should have been. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They didn't even immediately react out loud. They just looked at each other, a shared glance of disbelief, because they both knew, without having to say it, that they had seen the same thing. The rest of the drive was quiet, not out of confusion alone, but out of the kind of silence that comes when something doesn't fit into anything you understand. It wasn't until later that they finally spoke about it, separately describing the same moment, the same children, the same clothing, the same absence where eyes should have been, identical accounts. That experience stayed with them. And stories like this are what keep the legend of the so-called black-eyed children alive in modern folklore and paranormal discussion. Some say it is misperception. Some say it is fear shaping memory in low-light conditions. Others believe it touches something deeper, something not easily explained through normal means. There is no single answer that satisfies every question surrounding experiences like this. Only accounts, moments, and the people who lived through them. So if you ever find yourself on a quiet rural road, as daylight fades, and you notice something that doesn't feel right in the distance, all I can say is this: pay attention. Take in what you're seeing carefully, and trust your judgment about what belongs in the world you know and what doesn't. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe to Macomb Paranormal Investigations and research for more stories, investigations, and discussions into the unexplained. Until next time, stay aware of the darkness at the edges of what you see. And as always, happy hauntings.
It is real.